It's some of America's richest farmland, but what is it without water? A California farmer decides it makes better business sense to sell his water than grow rice. An almond farmer considers uprooting his trees to put up solar panels. Drought is transforming the state, with broad consequences for the food supply. In America's fruit and nut basket, water is now the most precious crop of all. It explains why, amid a historic drought parching much of the American West, a grower of premium sushi rice has concluded it makes better sense to sell the water they would have used to grow rice than actually grow rice. Or why a melon farmer left a third of his fields fallow. Or why a large landholder further south is thinking of planting a solar array on his fields rather than thirsty almonds that delivered steady profits for years. You want to sit there and say we want to monetize the water? They don't, a rice grower says. On the banks of the Sacramento River, who this year sowed virtually no rice and instead sold his unused water for desperate farmers further south. It's not what we prefer to do, but it's what we kind of need to do. Have to. Morning. These are among the signs of a huge transformation up and down California's Central Valley, the country's most lucrative agricultural belt, as it confronts both an exceptional drought and the consequences of years of pumping far too much water out of the aquifers, something I've been trying to talk about. Across the state, reservoir levels are dropping and electric grids are at risk if hydroelectric dams don't get water to produce power. It's just gonna get so much worse, and it's gonna get worse fast. And, with my stream title, I don't see us changing. And no, of course they shouldn't be. Rising temperatures dry out the soil, which in turn can worsen heat waves. That's what I'm wondering. How many of these crops are going to die? Memo. How many lettuces are going to bolt? How many trees are going to die from heat shock? So even what is planted out there. Yeah, even if you've got plants out there, they might die. By 2040, the San Joaquin Valley is projected to lose at least 535,000 acres, more than a tenth of the area farmed. Right, that's all that I can think about, Memo. Everything is going to bolt or die. Hello, Larry. California's $50 billion agricultural sector supplies 2/3 of the country's fruits and nuts and more than 1/3 of the vegetables. Vast stretches of land are fallow because there's no water. New calculations are being made about what crops to grow, how much and where. Millions of dollars are being spent on replenishing the aquifer that's been depleted for so long. It's mostly just a western heat dome. However, it is going to be 92 today in Lexington, Kentucky. So mostly West Coast, but also even dipping into the Midwest. Yeah, there's kind of been a drought in the Midwest though, and the Midwestern water table is done as well. California's fertile Central Valley begins in the north where the water begins. In normal times, winter rain and spring snowmelt swell the Sacramento River. On an average year, growers around the Sacramento River produce 500,000 acres of sushi rice, 40% exported to Asia. But now there's less snowpack, less water in the reservoirs and the rivers. And now they're selling their water. His 130-acre field of rice glistens green in the June sunshine, guzzling water that pours out of a wide-mouthed spigot. His remaining 500 acres are bare and brown. He signed his water away for sale to growers of thirsty crops hundreds of miles south. At 575 acres, dollars per acre foot, a volume of water 1 acre in size, 1 foot deep. The revenue compares favorably to what he would have made growing rice without the headaches. Rice is far less lucrative than almonds and walnuts, which is why Mr. Fiak's fields are surrounded by nut trees. But rice farmers are uniquely advantaged. Because their lands have been in production for so long, they tend to have first dibs on water that comes out of the Sacramento. Also, unlike the owners of fruit and nut trees, whose investments would wither in a few weeks without water, rice farmers can leave a field fallow for a year, even two. In the era of climate change, when water can be unreliable, that flexibility is an asset. Rice farmers are going to produce 20% less rice. Well, that's a pretty photo. Kim Gallagher, a third-generation rice farmer, left fallow only 15% of her fields. She worries about the effect on the rice mills and crop duster pilots who live off rice farming, not to mention the birds that come to winter in the flooded fields. These are trade-offs every farmer has to make, what they can fallow and what they can't. Everyone has a different number. A fourth-generation rice farmer worries that California rice buyers would come to see his region as an unreliable supplier. He hedged his bets. He's only grown on 60%, which enables him to sell the rest of the water. Because they're not plowing or they're not seeding their fields. So they didn't plant he didn't plant 40% of his land. Because the rivers are so hot and dry this year, the federal government, which runs the Shasta Dam, where cold Sacramento water is stored, said the water has to stay in the reservoir through the summer months for another source of food, fish that hatch in the California rivers. This guy left a third of his land fallow. He ripped out his asparagus. Hello, Rudan. The hot, dry San Joaquin Valley became cotton farms at the turn of the 20th century. At the time, with water flowing from the north through fields of alfalfa and then strawberries and grapes, almonds took over as prices soared. With more demand on the surface water flowing through the river to maintain river flows or flush seawater out in the California Delta, farmers turned increasingly to water under their land. I just, I mean, I I'm at a point of exasperation of like I've railed against materialism and consumerism for a decade. Anytime that I've left the United States and come back home to my family's homes, I get anxiety. You know, I go out places and I see all the plastic waste. I mean, even this morning at like my hotel breakfast, I had an unrecycled carton of milk, two plastic containers of single serve cereal, a styrofoam plate, one plastic wrapping around my plastic silverware, a plastic fork, a plastic knife, a plastic spoon, and there was no recycling available. 40% of the water for California agriculture in a normal year comes from the aquifers. However, more groundwater is taken out than nature can replenish. Now, for the first time under the state's Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, growers face restrictions on how much they can pump. So thoroughly have the aquifers been depleted that farmers are now investing millions of dollars to put water back into the ground. They're buying land that can absorb the rains. They're creating ponds and ditches, carving up the landscape again to restore the groundwater squandered for so long. Towns in the Central Valley are beginning to run out of water. Town officials have been delivering bottled water to 1,200 residents for 2 weeks. I mean, it's not a good solution, but I mean, people gotta drink. You know what I mean? If they can't turn on their tap water to get water, I'm literally I'm not gonna scream at people who have to import bottled water to survive. Um, but yeah, exactly. It's all a spiral. I'm in a fighting mood. Like I just I kind of want to go out in the streets and just scream at people like the town crier, and get on a horse like Paul Revere and ride through and be like, "You dumb fucks, you absolute dumb fucks. Do you know what you're doing?" Stuart Wolf embodies the changing landscape of the San Joaquin Valley. Mr. Wolf took over his father's farm, headquartered in Huron, retired most of the cotton, switched to tomatoes, bought a factory that turns the tomatoes into paste, expanded across 25,000 acres, highest value crop almonds. Plastic wrappers around vegetables that grow here, but are brought in from some other country, right? Peeled oranges. Yeah. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, people are protesting. Sunrise Movement is in Washington, D.C. Extinction Rebellion is, like, out in the streets. And this dumb fucking species doesn't pay attention. And I understand that people are, trying to, like, deliver nice thoughts and so forth. But um, we're not exactly a wise species. You're right about the large monoculture. Oh, I don't feel bad for almond farmers. I don't really necessarily even feel bad for the farmers out there. To be completely honest, don't fucking farm in a desert. And I mean that's slightly harsh. I get it. But don't farm rice in a desert or don't farm almonds in a desert. He ripped out 400 acres of almonds. Not sure if he's going to replant them anytime soon. In the coming years, he estimates he will stop growing on 30 to 40% of his land. He left one field bare to serve as a pond to recharge the aquifer, bought land in the north where the water is. Now he's considering replacing some of his crops with another source of revenue, a solar farm. I'm a farmer in California. The tools we had to manage drought are getting limited. I've got to fallow a lot of my ranch. And, like, I hate to tell you, everybody, and okay, well, I have to preface my statement. I'm not a scientist. This is my opinion. Okay, take it as you will. I feel like 2021 is going to be one of the better fucking years of the decade. You can handle a year or two of a drought. You can handle 5 years of a drought. What you can't handle are your aquifers being depleted and the water not being replenished. That's what you can't handle. And if you're all wondering why I'm half whispering, I'm in a library, so I kind of have to keep a little bit muted. Yeah. Well, there are solutions out here. Holy fuck, this is the irritating thing. You can do agrovoltaics. You can do high tunnel farming. You can do indoor hydroponic large scale farms. Like there are there are so many things to be done, but all of the tech is behind proprietary protection. Like, even look at this one. Okay, so indoor food farm, Braddock, PA. I just read an article about this recently. Here. Come on, load. Thank you. Okay, so this is a really great thing, you know, in some regards. Okay, so Braddock, Pennsylvania is where Carnegie mass-produced steel. Now the city is home to a new kind of industry, robotic farms that grow greens inside of buildings. Okay, great. I'm completely fine with this. However, right there, Fifth Season's proprietary software allows efficiencies otherwise not attainable. Fucking why? Like, okay, keep your IP for 18 months. Keep it for a year. Cool. You know, get your business up off the ground and running. Are you really fucking afraid that somebody is going to build next to you and beat you? Come the fuck on. So, you know, like, there are solutions out there, but now they're IP protected and they're publicly traded, like App Harvest. Okay, like, this is what we have to pin our fucking hopes on, is this goddamn company and its stock price.
Love you, Jimmy. Okay.
Wouldn't bigger ag do that and squash people who make innovations like this? Wouldn't bigger ag do that? I don't completely understand the question, Monty. Would big ag make 12 or 18-month IP? I don't completely follow, sorry. But this is now big ag. I mean, I'm telling you now, everybody, within 4 years, our food is going to come from the Bowery, App Harvest, and like 3 other indoor vertical farms. And they're all going to be owned by these fucking VC vultures. And to be why innovate if you struggle for a better way and someone with more resources to, because we don't need to fucking make profit off of this shit. Okay, I'm just gonna like snap on questions. I don't give a fuck at the moment. The planet needs something. Like, I don't, people are still gonna try to innovate. And like, why can't a good agricultural business just be one that survives and gives people some jobs? It doesn't have to like shoot off like an EPS of 48 cents and like return a dividend of $1 every quarter. And like I said, you can own your shit for 12 months. Get it up and running. Like, we're not at a point where competition is going to come in and completely undercut you. We're nowhere near. We're nowhere near that realm. No, what the fuck? Monty, what are you talking about? No, that's not true. Innovations haven't come on. Damn it. And to be completely honest with everybody, I don't really even worry about air temperatures as much as I worry about river temperatures, lake temperatures, ocean temperatures, and stream temperatures. I know that like us humans are being dealt like a raw fucking hand. I get that, but the big issue is what's happening to our aquatic ecosystems. You know, there's this one too. Amazon biome hurtles toward a death spiral. An area the size of Israel was deforested in the Amazon just last year. Thank you for the follow. Okay, you know, so like again, okay, we have solutions. Well, you know what? Okay, so there is a solution, but look at what they're doing. Okay, so there's a company. Okay, but we can talk about that, but I'm gonna be in reality. Like the reality is we're here. I don't fucking care about like, was it an innovation that got us here? Was it this that got? I don't care. All that I care about is we're here, and we gotta go make solutions. Um, Technically, smoking weed is not good. Yes, technically, cannabis consumption isn't good. Okay, but here, again, actual solutions protected by fucking IP. Um, they have a proprietary system that determines what angle these solar panels should be. That way they can get, that way they can grow grapes down underneath it. But they have it backed behind IP again. Turks are welcome in my channel. Well, no, it's IP for like IP for the actuating mechanism, because so at like a certain amount of light absorption per day, plants can't undertake any more photosynthesis. So if you give your plants, you know, X hours of sunlight per day, maybe they can only use X minus 4. And if they're getting that full X, then all that they're doing is evapotranspiring. So if you build agrovoltaics on top of your food production or grape production or so forth, you can actually do multiple different things. The plant growth underneath can keep the solar panels cooler, which increases their efficiency. The solar panels can tilt and actuate, which increases their efficiency. And they can allow sunlight to penetrate down to the ground floor, which means you can grow. So you can combine a solar field with actual crop production. Basically, biohazard. Yeah, in simple terms. Okay, where were we? Back here. But it, but there are ways to do this, Monty. Like I'm telling you, I've seen agricultural techniques and energy generation techniques that don't have huge cascading consequences. The problem is, it's all IP backed. Will you at least concede to me that there is a problem with proprietary tech when it comes to food production and energy generation? Well, no. Captain's log. Not true. Because the solar panels might be directly bolted onto a roof. So one of the problems with agrovoltaics is you have to build them about 14 feet off the ground. So, no, it doesn't exactly just, you can't really just do it on a roof. See, you have to, like, yeah. Yeah, so you've got to build up above. And yes, you are using more materials for, erecting like a larger steel column or so forth, but you're able to use less water and get more efficiency out of the solar panels. So from my like quick research and analysis, it is still water saving and energy saving. So it works, and there are some good ways to do it. But again, they're just like open source your research. And if they open source their research, they're gonna become like heroes to people in the community, and then you're gonna bring people to your farm to look at. It's just. I'm also probably grumpy because I didn't sleep pretty much at all last night. It was 88 degrees in the car that I was sleeping in last night until about 3 a.m. with maybe 70% humidity. And then it got bearable for like 3 hours. But then by 6:30 a.m., the heat was just ratcheting up really fast again. So that could add to my grumpiness. Yeah, I'm realizing I'm gonna have to cut the farm tour road trip short, just because these temperatures are getting unbearable. So I'm probably gonna be in Lexington for like another week, touring some farms the next couple days. All right, cool. You can go play devil's advocate somewhere else, Monty. I'm not in the mood for it today. People still need to eat, and we still need better food production, and we need it done in more sustainable ways. We can talk about the Jevons paradox. It's a legitimate paradox. As you improve efficiency, you actually consume more. But I'm sorry. I don't have time for this line of positioning at the moment. And I actually, well, here, see, I even have on my next tab Jevons paradox to actually talk about it. So it occurs when technological progress or government policy increases the efficiency with which a resource is used, but the rate of consumption of that resource rises due to increasing demand. I'm not, yeah, I'm not actually even denying that this isn't a possibility, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to try something. No, I didn't see that biohazard. And I'm only talking about food production. What the fuck? Like I'm not trying to get people faster graphics cards and more fancy t-shirts or a newer car. I'm literally just trying to like sustainably source food to the world. Come on, please like cut me some cut like walk take a step with me. Hotter than the human body can handle. Didn't somewhere in Iraq get up to 57 Celsius? Combination with humidity. Power goes out about 4 times a day if you don't have a generator. You're screwed. Family's wife thankfully had a generator. It's not just the temperature, it's the combination with humidity because it affects the ability to sweat, so you can't lose the heat. Oh, okay. Researchers say that at a wet bulb reading of 35, the body can no longer cool itself by sweating, and such a temperature can be fatal in a few hours, even to the fittest people. The Gulf and the Indus Valley in Pakistan. Jacobabad crossed it in 87, 05, 10, and 12. A 3-day average maximum temp has been recorded hovering around 34 in June 2020, June, and it's often over 50. My God. Damn. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me, Ridvan. 40 degrees in Hyderabad. Gonna get hotter. When it rains, it pours monsoon rain, so the roads get flooded. Damn. What is it with Twitch artificially inflating everybody's viewership numbers today? Something kind of seems different. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look more into wet bulb things. All right, I'm running around the corner to the bathroom really fast. I'm gonna get some more water. Yeah, it's something weird is going on, McCore. Would you like to call in, Monty, and explain to me how doing agrovoltaics and indoor high tunnel farming and automated hydroponic systems that use less water, less pesticides, less nutrients is worse? Yeah. Let's call in and debate this. Come on, debate the agricultural techno futurist. All right, let me catch up on chat. I don't remember Bad Pat, sorry. Yeah, I complained a little bit last night about my sleeping conditions, but I mean, in my defense, I slept in an 88-degree car with like God knows what level of humidity, and it was just absolutely, oh God, it was horrible. It was horrible. I laid there just like begging for nighttime to come. Nice, Nusha, thank you. All right, we are going to be called by Montreal Player soon. I guess I could keep playing music until then, but I'll put something else up on the backdrop. That's a good one. Well, not a good one, but yeah, I have been listening to a lot of System of a Down and Serge Tankian. Um, I do not like our society that always just says like more, more, more. It gets to me. Monty has my Discord. He'll send me a DM when he's ready. Yeah, I've been listening to his new opera composition. I don't know if you all knew, but he writes he he's written film soundtracks. He's written classical classical piano concertos. This one's really beautiful. Sorry. Yeah, I played this when we were in the Arboretum. Okay, Monty, you should have your mic by now, I think. Hello. I cannot hear you.
I'm
Oh,
push
yeah.
to talk. I'm
Okay,
push to talk.
I got you. Good morning.
Good morning. Hold on, let me just shut. Okay, there we are.
Yeah, so my main stance is indoor vertical farms, agrovoltaics, high tunnel, no-till, and so forth. These are positive innovations leading to less water usage, less pesticide usage, better soil management, less soil usage, and just an overall benefit to energy consumption.
Okay. I suppose. Okay. I suppose on that. Okay. I don't necessarily disagree with you. However, without those technologies being widespread, we don't really know what the actual effects are.
Well,
With
not
the
true, because I've been talking to farmers. Like I have evidence from farmers that said he's growing more tomatoes on a tenth of an acre indoors than he was growing on half an acre outdoors, and he's not using pesticides and he's not tilling his soil. And I've talked to multiple tomato farmers this way now, and I've been into the farms.
Okay, and so when they have the increased production, does it get shipped overseas with combustion vehicles?
Most of these farmers are local farmers markets. So yeah, a majority of the ones would be local farmers markets. But also there's that new company, App Harvest, that I was talking about. On a 60-acre facility, they're doing complete rainwater capture. They have a 10-acre pond. They're not using any pesticides. They're not using any chemicals. They use parasitic wasps and one other insect indoors to deal with insect control, and they're producing around 45 million pounds of produce per year in basically the least energy intensive way and least water usage way possible at the current moment. Now, I'm not saying that it can't get better in the future, but at least at the moment, it's about the best that it can be.
Okay, well, I mean, that sounds great if it works and spread out locally, which means you're using less gas, I guess, to spread to distribute it. Okay, and using less resources. Hopefully, it works out.
Yeah, well, the whole purpose of I don't like the company's structure because they're a publicly traded VC-backed company, but they are building 11 new facilities inside of Appalachia, and they're picking places to build them to eliminate food deserts. So they're called App Harvest because it's Appalachian harvest, and they're trying to replenish the ability for those regions to get local access to produce. Now, I don't like the way that, like I said, they're publicly traded. I don't like that aspect. But I've looked through the tech. I've read through their papers. I've looked through their yields. I'm slightly familiar with aquaponics. I'm slightly familiar with hydroponics from having worked on a farm that had hydro and then touring some aquaponics facilities. And it does work. It does do what they say it does.
All right. I guess my point about the immediate innovations, right, is that it allows you to I guess grow your population and more comfortably. You're used to the production. You build systems based on this increased production. This is not just about the food growing. This is about any system like this. You build systems based on the new production, but you don't know in those other systems that you build on this, what are the effects of this rapid growth, or even if the thing you're building it on has like tertiary effects. But when you find out, you're just like, oh well, shoot, if only we could undo this thing that's kind of killing us right now. But you can't, because so many other things and people's lives depend on it. And that's kind of I mean, I guess that's what you're going to talk about, that the paradox thing. But
Well, yeah, but I
but
just
that's
like
it. It's
because I went through like I mean I went through their energy consumption. I went through their like I've seen now agricultural techniques that are just better than what we've been using. Just less of a multitude of inputs.
right. I like seeing those high tunnels. That was interesting. That was interesting. Even makes me think about putting one or about building one on a plot of land that I have access to.
You should. Yeah, you 1,000,000% should. They're absolutely wonderful to do. High tunnels are great. Greenhouses are great. Um, yeah, anything that you can build that you can control more of your inputs and outputs and not rely as much on weather or be concerned about pests and rodents and like animals eating your crops and so forth. The more that you can control in your agricultural operations, from my understanding thus far, the better it's been. Now, I've been to like 4 farmers markets in like 3 different states and spoken with about like 30 different farmers and toured maybe like 5 or 6 of them. And I've watched a lot of YouTube farming. I've watched a lot of Clydeson's farms. I was on the urban farm in Cleveland for 2.5 months on the permaculture farm. So like I'm beginning to get enough of a position where like I have seen innovations that are just better.
Are you? I mean, are you sure that if these innovations deployed like universally across the board wouldn't have negative effects? Like, let's say you're limiting, I guess, pesticides, or you're limiting pesticides because I guess you don't have a pest problem, right? And I mean, if you applied this across the board and you have all these parasites basically not getting their food and populations dying out and other wildlife not getting their food source because their populations die out, does it have rippling effects? Like you don't know what kind of rippling
Yeah,
effects they
fair.
have,
No, that's a fair
right?
question. Well, instead of farming on the land, you would just allow it to return to wild, natural habitat. So, if you actually, here, I'll try to bring up a video here to explain why I think it would be actually providing more food. Um, okay.
Right, because you require less land to destroy
Oh, no, no, no,
for
no, no.
food
I meant, but
production.
no, I'm meaning that you would have more food for the animals outside. I'll try to illustrate how I think that this would be possible. I have to go to my YouTube, your channel. We'll bring this
So
up.
I'm not going to pretend to know I know what these effects would be. This is just like a hypothetical, as in like, oh, that's a relationship that could could be around. The truth is, whatever relationship or relationships get disturbed, I probably have no idea about and couldn't speculate on.
Okay, so what my thinking here would be is, can you see what's on my stream?
Yes.
Okay, so my thinking is, yes, this is a lot of food for the animal population that would be around here. However, if you look at those rows that are in between, if you allowed all of this to regrow back to its natural state and natural habitat, you're going to have more wildflowers, you're going to have more bees, you're going to have more biodiversity, you're going to have a better dense biome, you're going to have healthier soil. So by removing crops out of the field and moving them to the high tunnels. Now, you can't do it with corn, you can't do it with soy, you can't do it with everything, you can't do it with wheat, to my knowledge at the moment. But by allowing land to return to the natural state, it is going to be a better biome.
Unless, of course, you produce enough food that makes a bigger population boom. So now you build high tunnels all over this thing again because you just need to up the production eventually.
Yeah, but if we look at population increases, they're mostly flat and or declining in a multitude of, call them Western societies or Western civilizations. And we've been increasing the tech that they have access to, yet the populations are still flatlined and or decreasing.
Why do you think we've reached a limit in terms of population?
I'm not saying that we've reached a limit. I can't like read into the future, but there are a lot of reasons why younger people aren't having kids. We just can't fucking afford it. We can't afford to pay a college debt, mortgage, car note, and raise a kid. It's just actually
Right,
balance sheet
but
impossible.
right, but I mean, listen to certain people. We're going to give all those things away for free, so people can live nice lives and make more kids and stuff. Anyways,
Hey,
Anyways,
I'm
whatever,
just talking
whatever.
about giving IP away. Like I'm even okay with you having it for a year or so, but that place in Braddock, okay, is somebody really gonna go buy a building next to you, take your technology, and displace you out of that town? I guess that there is a minimalistic probability of that happening. But I don't think that we're in the advanced enough phase of indoor vertical and or hydroponic farming that if you give your tech away, you're immediately going to be dislocated from your business. It doesn't, I can't wrap my head around that as of yet.
I don't see why a large company with large, distribution and manufacturing resources wouldn't take a smaller company's IP, just copy it, okay, and then use their superior, manufacturing distribution capabilities to essentially drown them out of the market.
They're going to. They're not, but I don't think they'll be drowned out of the market anytime soon. It may be long off in the future, but it's going to happen anyway. Because have you seen me talk about App Harvest yet?
Yes, I have. No, I get it's going to happen anyways. It's just the people who are making these innovations don't fail through their iterations to make innovations because they hope that someone's going
I
to
did.
steal it
I,
from them.
I disagree a little bit about farmers. I've seen so much open source, small scale farming, and
Right.
I've felt from farmers that they want to share their technologies. They want to share the way they plant. They want to share their ideas on crops. Now there's some that aren't, but a majority of
Right.
the
I
ones
get
that are
that. Yeah.
successful, and I'm even going to go further to say like, there's one there's one digital asset out there that all of their papers are open source white papers. All of their coding is open source. All of their protocols are open source. So they've published, I think it's either 105 or 109 peer-reviewed academic papers that you can read through, like the backbone, basically, of the entire protocol. And then anybody can use that to go develop their own protocols. So I think that we're
Great.
beginning to shift into a world where open source businesses are going to receive more traffic through them because people like me are going to be like, oh, you're not backing everything with proprietary tech. I want to support what you're doing. And to kind of like talk about this with streamers, all streamers are more or less open source people. We give everything away for free, and we hope that people are going to like it and support it in the back end. And it can be a sustainable business model.
I think if new tech is open source and it's available to, I guess, smaller producers, smaller entrepreneurs, and they make their little, I guess, localized experiments with it, that's probably a more sustainable model than putting new tech in the hands of giant machine that deploys it system wide
Well,
all at once without trial and error.
the problem is like this farm cost $1 billion to build. Like these building on this scale isn't cheap, but we kind of need things on this scale to support local economies and local food sustainability. So I'm in a weird phase of I want everybody to have a community garden and a little backyard high tunnel. At the same time, the hyper
I think that's not
efficiencies.
going to feed the world. Yeah.
Well, it could. No, it could feed the world. But it would take more energy. So let me try to like caveat. You were saying like it wouldn't feed the world. I'll make the argument that yes, you can. However, you're going to require more inputs because you're going to have, let's say that there's 50,000 high tunnel tomato producers in backyards, or there's 50 of these things. The 50 of these things, they might only be 11% more efficient, but they might be 17 more efficient than another operation, or 6% more than another. So I'm in a weird phase of I want everything to stay local and a small business owner. However, the best, most efficient, least water intensive way to produce is on a large scale as such.
Right. I mean, yeah, efficient in terms of if you're optimizing, yeah, for production, if for input in and I guess product out.
That's all that
Right.
I really just, all that I want to do is I want to lower energy inputs, lower pesticide inputs, lower water inputs is where I am.
Okay, and I think as a general rule, optimizing for a few metrics like that ignores all the other relationships that go on around them, and when those relationships collapse, you have other problems that become too big to deal with. And so
What's
that's why I
more
just think
what's more
the
important
approach
than
is just
resources,
not
energy, and water?
sustainable.
What's more important than resources, energy, and water?
Not optimizing to use them in a way that collapses the system that supports them.
If we don't change, the system is going to collapse.
Yes, I know.
Okay, well then we've got to at least try. I mean, like we're literally looking into like closed loop aquaponic systems, so you can fertilize your own crops or so forth. So, like,
I think if you keep driving in one direction, okay, with certain metrics in mind, the system's going to collapse anyways. Except the system's going to have a larger collapse, and the only way to avoid a larger collapse, hopefully not a catastrophic, extinction level collapse, okay, but the only way to avoid that is to correct the system to something
but
more sustainable and
but
organic,
that's what I'm showing
in
you.
the present, no matter what the cost.
But this is organic. This is sustainable. More than we have at the moment.
Possibly. Look, possibly. I'm not denying that it has potential. I'm just saying, again, optimizing for input in and production out. Okay, you're gonna kill some other systems that you don't know about.
I, but I would like you to prove to me what those systems are going to be if I'm using less
I
carbon.
don't know what
Hold on,
those systems
hold on.
are.
But I'm using less carbon. I'm using less materials, less soil, less water, less pesticides, less chemicals. Now there can be, we can talk about problems of, are you gonna too narrowly focus your seeds, kind of like you mentioned with the chickens and so forth. So there are a few things that need to be discussed. However, our current rate of the way that we're going isn't sustainable or functional in any sense of the capacity. So we've got to try something new.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Our current way is going in a certain direction. I don't think accentuating increased production, okay, is a change of direction. Honestly,
No, we're changing production to from California to now being
it's
in
something
West
more efficient.
Virginia. No, but we're not shipping tomatoes from California to West Virginia anymore. We're growing them in the hills of West Virginia. So you're cutting down on transport costs, you're cutting down on delivery costs. You're just we're doing what you're asking to be done.
Right, and I hope it works out. I sincerely hope it works out, especially if it allows you to grow adequate food with the resources in a local environment, so you don't have to ship it all over the country.
That's what
I
the purpose of
sincerely hope it works out.
that's what they're trying to do. Now, do I like their profit business model? No. Do I like their proprietary tech? No.
As
Um,
long as it cuts down on shipping costs, that's something.
what about all the other costs that I told you was cutting down on too?
Right. Yeah, that too. If they don't have to spend on pesticides, and also if pesticides don't have to be used, these are all great things and innovations. I sincerely hope they work out.
Okay.
Okay, okay, I think that with anything novel, all right, there are probably some, I guess, consequences you don't know about. And however, if these novel things are allowed to spread on smaller independent scales, then those people can find the adjustments before as
Well,
opposed to
I
like
think they did.
something a novel technology. Hold on, as opposed to a novel technology being spread across the board, and then the secondary consequences are also widespread, and you're too dependent on the system to let it go or change it
So
anymore.
I was working on a small scale hydroponics farm in Cleveland. Like hydroponics growing has been around for a very long time. Now it's just ramping up to commercial scaling. So these trials and errors in backyards have been done. You know, there's people that are just building pools in their basement now to do their own hydroponics. So we've done the small scale testing. We've found less pesticide use. We've found less water consumption. We found an overall less energy input rather than farming out in the field because you're not running your crop tractors, you're not like having to till and so forth. So we tested it in small basements and in small operations, and now
Great,
it's
perfect.
scaling. Um, so
Okay, great.
that's where I am.
Great, and I think you're doing great work showing everyone what kind of things are out there, spreading these kind of ideas to people who might want to start their operations and don't know where to start or don't have access to this kind of network of information.
Well, thank you. Try not to give me high blood pressure, please. um, switch positions, self-critique my own positions. Okay. Um,
It's look, it's not look. I'm not saying stop and everything or status quo or any of these things. I don't know. It's weird.
oh,
I guess
I'm
whatever.
not reading chat. They're on their own.
Okay. Anyways, I'm 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 just saying I'm just saying there's a danger to saying, okay, full steam ahead on new tech. Okay, like whatever. This thing seems to have evolved organically, right? And people working at the details. I think that's great. That's a great way to bring innovation in. Okay, I think finding a new tech, it's new. It optimizes the variables I care about. Let's pump billions of dollars into it and put it widespread. I think that's a bad approach, and I think with the benefits that you get from it, you start to you start becoming dependent on those benefits, and then when the true costs emerge, you're like, I don't want to let go of the benefits. So I think this kind of organic scaling up and augmenting of technology. I'm not anti innovation. I don't want to go back to caveman. That's ridiculous, right? But growth that's too rapid, don't allow the supporting systems to evolve with it. Okay, and I think it causes a lot of imbalances and stuff where, and then you have to eventually deal with the consequences, which we're dealing with.
Well,
That's my only point.
I am more convinced than I was at the beginning of my positions that they're the correct ones. So, thank you, thank you for that. Um, I do hear like your concerns about cascading effects and so forth. I have some of my own worries about lithium consumption for batteries into the year
For solar
2120.
panels, yeah.
Um, However, what I am not concerned about is after doing all this research about greenhouse growing of foods, I'm not concerned about other consequences of just erecting a 60-acre facility to produce a shit ton of produce for a local region. Like I've tried to do the back and forth and the devil's advocates of my own positions. The only thing that I don't like about them is the massive amount of initial capital investment. It's very, very expensive to build them. However, very quickly it either pays itself off or it just proves itself to be useful. I mean, 45 million pounds per year out of one facility. It's really impressive. Um, so yeah, my only concerns about the current rate that farming is going is we're leaving one situation behind where we have 4% or four companies controlling like 80% of each industry, be it corn seeds, be it fertilizers, be it pesticides, be it meat packing, be it poultry packing, or so forth. We're gonna go from we had a beautiful boom in backyard market gardens, and it's really like becoming amazing, and it's great for cauliflowers and kohlrabis and tomatoes and so forth. My concern is that as we shift into the automated horizontal, vertical, hydroponic farming in greenhouses and so forth, that those farmers are going to be left behind. That is a legitimate concern, and that's a legitimate thing that I am very worried about because I like what they're doing in the backyards. Um, However, there's not a lot of people that want to work 80 hours a week, 100 hours a week, and barely scrape by. I've talked to many farmers now that they're going to 3, 4, 5 farmers markets a week. They're working 6 or 7 days a week. They can't afford to get help. They don't have health insurance and so forth. So, and then also, like I was in Indiana recently, and I talked to maybe 5 different wheat farmers. You're not really anything near like a sustainable farm, meaning like ability to support yourself and your family, until you have about 2,000 acres of production, and then you're having to get like a $300,000 combine, and then all other kinds of material and equipment. So the scale of farming required in order to produce any kind of income for the farmer at the moment against the amount of hours that he's putting in, it doesn't really work in any kind of realm. That farmer that I went to go see with the shrimp farm and the high tunnel tomatoes, he's working 40 hours a week as a telecoms engineer, and this is his 60-hour a week side hobby. So the economics of agriculture and farming are already broken.
Yeah, they don't make sense. You have to you have to extract as much as you can out of the resources you have. Hopefully there's it's sustainable. Anyways, I'm sure that's up to them to figure it out. They'll do it. Look, anyways, look, I have to go.
Okay.
I have to go. Essentially, I want to. My whole devil's advocacy is to avoid the same thinking. Okay, that that would get us into a situation where, oh, this fossil fuel is great. It's relatively easy to get, and you know what? You bring it. You have cheap energy and power. People can go, pull themselves out of poverty because they have cheap energy. This is great, widespread all over the place. And then years later, this is a problem, and we have to dial it back. But you can't. Everyone's lives kind of built on it, and now we're stuck with this. All right, and that's just an example of the kind of thing where some rapidly spread innovation applied across the board. It turns out we have to kind of undo it, but we can't. That's my one example before I leave of systems that grow
Yeah,
too
no, that's
fast and we
fine.
grow dependent on.
I'll happily take any devil's advocate positions and questions of yours over the next day, week, month, year, or so forth, because I do feel that I've done enough research into these realms to at least have some good factual foundational positions and opinions. So I look forward to the next challenge.
Okay, have fun.
All right, have a nice
Anyways,
one.
I really enjoyed the work.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
All right, later.
Okay, let me let me catch up on chat here. Wow, there's a lot of people here now. Larry, you're correct about that too. Yeah, Linux agriculture would be nice. Hello, Clydson, the real farmer. Hello, Incognito. Good to see you, Kibbles. Did I miss the comment of yours, Biohaz? What's up, Marcus? Good to see you. Okay, so we caught up. Yeah, we're just talking about ecological problems today, I suppose. If anybody does like this type of work, you can drop a little bit of a donation right there. I think that we do a pretty good job doing deep dives on topics together and trying to get to the bottom of things. So I appreciate everybody coming in. And Clydson, thank you for being here. I appreciate that too. I'm kind of talking quietly as I'm in a library, University of Kentucky, Lexington. I'm working on, I have a couple more farms that I'm going to be touring here this week. And then I need to decide what I'm doing because, like, man, sleeping in the car at nighttime in these 85-degree, 80 humidity temperatures, like, oh, God. I was waking up like every 20 minutes or so. Yeah, I completely agree with that, turd farmer. That's why what they need to do right now is... Okay, this company is only worth $1.57 billion. So let's even say that the government does a buyout at $30. So are you trying to tell me that it's not worth the government spending $3 billion to get all of this tech and then just and then build them? And throw them, so I would be of the type, buy it out, delete all the fucking shares, and then just allow all of this tech to be out there and for the public. Oh my God, Monty. Well, I mean, holy hell. Thank you, Monty. I really appreciate that. Yeah, you and I argue a lot. $30 goes a long way. It really does, especially when this morning, everybody. Um, Thank you, Hilton. Sorry, I know I was eating sausages, everybody. I did go get an orange. I did have 2 bowls of cereal. They don't really have exactly the best breakfast at the Hilton right now. But I can't confirm or deny that it's pretty easy to walk into larger hotels for the continental breakfast in the morning. So I may or may not have been using their parking lot. I may or may not have been using their trees for shade. And I may or may not have been using their continental breakfasts. Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest problems in the United States isn't lack of food production, it's lack of food eating, and it's over inundation of food waste. I don't care. I would run it through national security, just like the just like the highways for the country were for national security. I would say we need to have better food for our military servicemen and women, and in order for that to take place, we need to acquire certain pieces of technological innovation. And then we're going to build some of these facilities at different military bases around to tinker with and make sure that we have the most optimum nutrition for our brave soldiers going off to whatever goddamn country they get sent to. If I was trying to argue it from a conservative position. Right, but I'm trying to like use like a national defense way for taking the IP was kind of what I was saying. Butternut squash. Thank you for the $10 donation. I really appreciate that, everybody. Oh, I don't disagree. We need far less military. Full stop. We're spending $750 billion on it a year with 800 military bases around the world, and DoD emissions are the largest emissions of any country. So, no, we gotta scale that shit back. There you go, Marcus. Constitution says general welfare is one of the responsibilities of government in the first paragraph. Don't have to do much judo to explain, but legislation would have to be crafted in a specific language. There would be some way around it. Do I think decreased military spending will require international effort? Yeah. Yeah, I think that it would take one nation to, I mean, this is my whole way of doing it. I think that sometimes you're better to walk into a situation with your hands up, not anywhere near your weapons, and hope, not hope, try to de-escalate situations as such. So yeah, I think that if Germany or France or Israel or a larger nation with a larger military budget began scaling theirs back, I think that you could then begin that crescendoing effect. Actually true about the Zoomers not going into the military, but they're going to keep dangling better and better benefits at them. And they're going to say, well, don't you want health care? Well, don't you want your college paid for? Like, the biggest reason that we don't have universal health care in the country or free public tuition is because how else are you going to get any kids to go into the military? I mean, James, you are correct. I'm not going to be able to rant much more about climate and food production, but we are going to talk a little bit about Palestine today as well. Yeah, I mean, I spent like 3 or 4 days in West Virginia. I went to talk to a lot of West Virginians at the Memorial March on Joe Manchin, and there were a few of the mothers that said, like, we can't have the best job in our state being the United States military, and it's been that way for far too long. So you grow up in these rural abandoned towns, you grow up in these abandoned coal towns or the abandoned steel mill towns and so forth, and it's either, well, okay, go nowhere or take a job with the U.S. military. Yeah, it's the numbers out of West Virginia were ridiculous. Veterans make up roughly 10% of West Virginia's population. So it seemed to be West Virginia was one of the higher ones. So you've got some other ones that are 10.7%, 10.2%. Oh, here you go. Alaska, Montana, Virginia, Wyoming. I'm surprised West Virginia's not on here. I would have to assume they would be. I'm not saying that it's the number one employer per se. Well, I mean, I guess I was going to that route. Would 10% be the number one employer? I guess it could potentially be. But I was more just saying like they have a higher percentage of their population going to the military than any other state. Well, that's why the kids are all fighting for a civilian corps of climate or a civilian climate corps. That's what the Sunrise Movement was just fighting for the other day. Because we need it. I mean, we need like a restorative, rehabilitative, basically domestic Peace Corps, known as the Climate Corps. I don't even think there's many farmers left in the country. I wonder what happened that there was an uptick in farms from '06 to '07. I thought that we were down to about 400,000 farmers, but I could be wrong there. Yeah, that would be nice, Dr. Point of Win. Okay, so far today we spoke about drought in the West, plowing fields under. Spoke a little bit about vertical and or hydroponics. We covered Amazon deforestation. Talked a little bit about Jevons paradox, which is an actual problem. Like this is a legitimate actual problem. It occurs when technological progress or government policy increases the efficiency with which a resource is used, reducing the amount necessary for any one use, but the rate of consumption of that resource rises due to increasing demand. I mean, it's a legitimate concern. So let's say, like in a hypothetical world, we all have autonomous vehicles. Could we then theoretically or even potentially travel further because all we have to do is press a button and we do whatever else we were doing in the backseat of the car? So there are some actual legitimate concerns about Jevons paradox. Yeah, it had to be some kind of weird change because you don't go through that big of a jump. Yet you don't go on a 10% jump in 1 year for no reason. Stormcrow. I'm going to be at the library for most of today. Hello. Hi to you too. I'm going to be at the library for a lot of today, and I'm going to play some Sea of Thieves while I'm here, I think. I have really good internet connection. Oh, here, I'll brag to all of you about the speed of Kentucky internet, at least at a university. Oh, wow, it's a lot lower than I thought it would be. The other day that I tested it, it was up to like 900. But hey, I'll take it. That's good enough. It gets me done when I need to get done. Yeah, it was. Yeah. But I don't know why it's not anymore. Okay, so once again, Israeli settlements are encroaching further and further on Palestine. They're ripping out olive trees. They're closing down businesses. They're destroying furniture. And it's just, I've been trying to get into Israel. They have one of the highest vaccination rates in the world. So does the United States. Yet we're not allowed to visit Israel yet. At least like the last time I checked, we're still not allowed to get in. And hashtag. Demolition has started in Silwan. Pics of Al-Abbasi family house. Content warning. This is Nidal al-Rajabi, the owner of the El Khalil butcher shop in Silwan, being beaten by Zionist forces for his non-compliance in the annihilation and erasure of his family's Palestinian existence in Jerusalem. Before and after destruction of the butcher shop. Another store being destroyed. Yeah, I guess when I kind of like rasp my voice into the microphone, it probably sounds a little different than it typically does. Okay, so here are 5 things that you can do. Push for a military embargo on Israel. Declare your institutions apartheid-free zones. Boycott brands supporting Israeli apartheid. Cancel academic, cultural, and events and sporting events in Israel, and join a BDS campaign. You can work with progressive networks to pressure parliament and give government to end all military security cooperation and trade, military funding in the U.S. case with apartheid Israel and similarly criminal regimes of oppression worldwide, ban all goods and services of companies operating in Israel's illegal colonial settlements, and demand a United Nations investigation of the Israeli apartheid. No, I didn't see that. Hello, Charmel. 2. You can mobilize pressure in your community, trade union, association, church, social network, student government union, city council, cultural center, or other organization to declare it an apartheid-free zone, ending all relations with apartheid Israel and companies that are complicit in the system of oppression, boycott services and products, and or mobilize institutional pressure to divest from Israeli and international companies and banks that are complicit in Israel war crimes and crimes against humanity. This includes all Israeli banks, all major multinationals. Wow, Caterpillar, General Mills, Volvo, damn, I actually like Volvos. Cancel all academic, cultural, sports, and tourism engagements in Israel or supported and sponsored by them, and join a BDS campaign or strategic Palestine solidarity group near you to act collectively and effectively. It's illegal in Texas for our state government to trade with a business that supports BDS. We've got a long decade, everybody. I'm going to make a rude meme, but buy your rice now before we can't grow it anymore. What's the shelf life on rice? Is it a few years? All right, well, there you go. 2 years on your dry white rice. Yeah, they say 2 years. It probably lasts longer. Oh, yeah, I don't agree with Nate on that one, Nusha. That's fine. You're not supposed to agree with everybody all the time, but I do not agree with Nate on that at all. "25 years if you store it the right way." Okay, that's impressive. Oh, I got a TikTok from the Orb lady. I should watch this.
One right there. One right there. I'm gonna do one more. Okay? Okay. Now I'm gonna just make sure the temperature is right. So I'm gonna use this nozzle right here to twist it and make sure all of the sun rays are pointing directly at the bottom of that. So I'm just gonna look at the bottom of it. Yep, it's looking good. So, you know, I'm gonna wait till it bubble up a little bit in the kitchen with Chef Yosh. And let's see how these look. Bubbling up a little bit, so they're ready to turn. Let's see. Ooh-wee. Who said the solar kitchen didn't work? It looked like it's working a little bit overtime. It's burning. All right, let's do it. One right there. One right there. I'm gonna do one more. Okay? Okay. Now I'm gonna just make sure the temperature is right. So I'm gonna use this nozzle right here to twist it and make sure all of the sun rays are pointing directly at the bottom of that. So I'm just gonna look at the bottom of it. Yep, it's looking good. So, you know, I'm gonna wait till it bubble up a little bit in the kitchen with Chef Yosh. And let's see how these look. Bubbling up a little bit, so they're ready to turn. Let's see. Ooh-wee. Who said the solar kitchen didn't work? It looked like it's working a little bit overtime. It's burning. All right, let's do it.
Okay, good morning, Raiders. Hello, difficult truthers. We are having a difficult truth day. We're talking about climate change, droughts, water aquifer depletion, agrovoltaics, large-scale automated vertical and or horizontal hydroponics and aquaponics. We've been talking some high tunnel tomato growth. We've been talking Jevons paradox. We've been talking about the settlements in Palestine. And now we're watching the Solar Kitchen, so thank you very much, A Difficult Truth, for bringing the raid over. If anybody is looking for a great stream in the morning, 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, A Difficult Truth always does a great daily news breakdown. I am Brad of Touring News. I'm kind of like talking quietly into the microphone a little bit because I'm in the University of Kentucky at Lexington Library. I'm on about like a 3-week or a 4-week road trip across the United States, going to different farms, going to different farmers markets, trying to learn about energy generation, about food production, about no-till, and so forth. So if anybody likes that kind of stuff, I do that. I do not know Go Son. Yeah, so we're really just doing all of that kind of stuff today. My interests lie on the intersection of macroeconomics, climate change, environmentalism, sustainability, currencies, trade, conflict. I'm interested in things on like a big scale picture. And I guess the way that I like explain it to people is I'm tired of patching holes in the ship. I want a new ship. So I usually focus on kind of like big macro issues. I mean, but Noam Chomsky, if this is going to be a basic replacement for what you have for your traditional cooking, I don't think that it is that many materials, because you're not going to be using nat gas or you're not going to be using electricity to power it. So while you may have an initial material investment cost, I would have to think that you're going to be saving carbon at the back end. So I think I might get one of these to do a product test. Okay, they do get a little bit expensive, but this cheap one is pretty cheap. 200. I mean, I'll have to like do some looking through these to see, but All right, so let's just look at the sport pack. So what materials are they using? They use silicone seals. Rain, clouds, snow, no problem. If you can see a shadow, it'll give you a warm, sizzling meal. Well, it's not going to work at nighttime, probably. Yeah, again, Dr. Bwinabwin, what I've heard from farmers, and what I agree with farmers about is what's old is new again. Man, I drank too much coffee this morning. I have to go to the bathroom again. But I'm going to go back and play that video that we had on before. I drank too much coffee. It was this one, right? Yeah, you're around here. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why the sound wasn't working there. It does look like it's aluminum. Sort of like there's no new ideas. Yeah, I don't know. No, it was. It wasn't playing sound for some reason. I don't really know why it wasn't. Okay, well this is one that charges a battery. Yeah, I'm not interested in the battery charging one as much. I like the one that's just like a very basic you can use in the sunshine. This is really amazing. I was trying to think how long it would take me to make my money back on this, because I'm spending around $15 a day on food on the trip. Maybe a little bit less. So I could get one of these. And yeah, I was just wondering like how fast would I make my money back on a road trip, because it's pretty fast. This is really amazing stuff. Yeah, that would work. Hmm. Yeah, thank you for bringing this to my attention. What's this one all about? Ooh, it's even cheaper. This one is even cheaper. Wow, this is pretty impressive stuff. Oh, I could cook in that, Jimmy, for sure. $200 for the larger one. For the sport, what's the sizzle? Oof. Oh, it has an electric backup. That's why. Oh. Yeah, I'm not, oh, but you can cook 101 ounces of food in it. So you can cook a meal for 5 and 30 minutes. Yeah, I'm not really... well, I'll take a peek at it.
Introducing GoSun Sizzle, the most powerful, fuel-free oven of all time. Reach temperatures that compete with fire without the drama of smoke, dangerous flames, or a nasty cleanup job. Bake, boil, roast, or fry with space-age technology that's down to earth. The Sizzle is brought to you by GoSun's lead investor and resident rocket scientist, Glenn McGilray. Seriously, he's a rocket scientist. It runs on the GoSun Fusion evacuated tube, with a near-perfect vacuum insulation so you can cook in any weather. With over 4 liters of volume, the stainless steel cooking tray also has electric backup so you can continue to cook at night or indoors. By unfolding a massive reflector and tilting it at our closest star, the Sizzle cooks for up to 6 in just 30 minutes, thanks to a new cosmic acrylic parabolic mirror. To adjust temperature or cook time, just open or close the reflectors. Plus, you can store a hot, juicy meal inside for hours. Like all GoSun products, the Sizzle is guaranteed to fuel your fun and be there for when you need it. It comes with free shipping, free returns, and a 1-year, no questions asked warranty. Still think it's just smoke and mirrors? Well, it's actually steam and mirrors, powered by the magic of the sun. But you may want to begin with one of our smaller ovens before hitting the big leagues with the GoSun.
Yeah, I think, oh, thank you for the host, Surfer Girl Gritty. I think I'm gonna try one of these sometime. I kind of, yeah, I want to see if this thing is decent. I wonder if anybody on YouTube has used one that's not the company. Okay, product review.
I'm gonna let... the sun be my oven today. I'm here to try out the GoSun ProPack Solar Cooker. Let's see what's inside. Nice little carrying case. So I'm guessing solar cookers are pretty popular when you want to go camping. And I think it's perfect for the sun to be able to cook this without having to light a grill or a campfire, because Lord knows it's hot enough out here. As long as we have sun, then remove cooking tray handle. Our food should cook in no time. Are facing perpendicular. Stand in front of the device. Tilt the device until the reflector stick. Hot dogs, okay, because basically they're already cooked. You're just heating. You're going to do all eight hot dogs. Pretty well. 2 degrees right now. Medium sun or low sun, so we're in full sun right now. All right, it's been about actually 15 minutes, and our hot dogs are ready, y'all. Look at that. Smoking. Fresh as well. And I think I'm these cute little muffin biscuits. Oh, yeah. I mean, they're cooking for sure. Wow, they're hot. I think it's just, I checked, my thing was cracked open a little bit. I think that's the problem with this one, but we are definitely close. Look at the golden brown. Okay, so while these biscuits finish, I'm going to prep raw meat, because everyone wants to see. But you don't have to maintain. I don't know if you have to do this, but I'm spraying it a little bit. Still loving the size of the tray. Pull out the biscuits, get the chicken in. Now the shape is something, but that was on me. That's because I decided to put them in a little muffin tin. But I'm kind of doing that, so it's definitely hot around the inside. Oh, I don't see my head. That's the problem. Now I think I know how to say if it's perpendicular. It's about right. All right, let's taste our hot biscuit. Ooh, that's hot. It's cooked all the way through. It's kind of amazing. Swoop. Yeah, I don't know if that was a good idea. Maybe you don't turn it. I think it's close. It feels cooked. I am not seeing much browning going on here, so it might be better to shred it up and stir it in some barbecue sauce or something, because you're not going to get that like grilled flavor. But we'll see. It's like we got about 5 minutes left. I can't take the heat anymore. It better be done. Whoa, look at all the juice. Well, it's hot. This is probably a little dangerous. Might not be the most appetizing thing I've ever seen, but it's all about taste. It started to brown a little bit around the edges. Well, looky there. A cooked piece of chicken. I'm liking the solar cooker, y'all. I'm going to cook it in an oven. Do you have a solar cooker? And if so,
yeah, I'm a big Serge Tankian fan. Heat 420. Yeah, it does. It seems to work. I have to feel that this thing works. That's insane.
today we are working. See in about 10 minutes or so. That is.
Sorry, that's absurd.
So, during total, this was probably in for about 2.5 hours, and it turned out really, really good. I'm impressed. I'm totally good. We created pork tenderloin and veggies. Veggies turned out really good, nice and crispy.
Wow, thank you, baked cupcake. That's what's cool about being a streamer. People link you stuff that's awesome. Yeah, I am kind of convinced that that's pretty cool. Can we find out like what materials get used to make it? Can anybody find like the specific everything that goes into it? A lot of stainless steel. I don't know what borosilicate glass is. Aluminum nitride, stainless steel, and copper. Borosilicate glass is known for its chemical and thermal resistance for bakeware, LED lights, and lab equipment. Well, but it would be good for me, McCory, or for any backpacker. You know, like on my trip right now, I haven't been home since... Jesus, I don't even know when I left. I don't think I've been home since June 13th. So rather than me going to Chipotle like twice a day, I could just be going to the grocery store and making my own Chipotle. So this is more for like backpackers, hikers. I mean, yeah, hiking it would be pretty nice. Well, I guess you'd still have to get food if you're doing it hiking, but still. Yeah, this is really, really awesome, amazing stuff. Thank you, Cupcake. Get a bow and arrow and become Link. That would be cool. I could use this as my shield. Well, yeah, that's the biggest thing. Not needing fuel, McCore. That's kind of what I was thinking about. You know, like how, because this would pay itself back to me pretty quickly. Not using fuel, not using Chipotle, not using Sub. Man, I'm starting to get sick of Chipotle and Subway. Oh, I go there like, I usually go to one per day, or each one once a day. Yeah, I don't know durability. What, and they make what's solar powered? Cool. Oh my god. Well, at least the at least the ovens are cheap. No, I think they give you a 1-year warranty. Is all. I'm pretty sure it's just a 1 year. When used properly, it has a life expectancy of about 25 years. If something does happen, the tube and attached parts are available for purchase. Oh yeah, I didn't even see the pop-up thing. I have my headphones off. Sorry. They don't listen. They just don't listen. Is there anything else that we kind of wanted to chat about or discuss today? I'm kind of the type of, if I'm not doing anything productive, I don't want to waste your time. And I think that we may have reached the point where I've done everything that I can do for a day. 2 hour show. It's a good enough show. Thank you, Larry. If anybody wants to follow me on social media, there is... How are they still...
One right there. One right there.
This is cool, though,
I'm gonna
too.
do one more. I'm gonna do one more. Okay? Okay. Now, I'm gonna just make sure.
Actually, there's another one that got sent to me from Orb Lady. Here, this one. Check this out. That one was a mirror.
The temperature is right. So I'm gonna use this nozzle right here.
This is a tool used in Africa that keeps food cold without using any electricity. It's a pot refrigeration system which was developed by Mohammed Ba'aba. The outer pot is filled with wet sand and the inner pot is used to store food. As the water evaporates, the inner pot cools to temperatures as low as 40 degrees Fahrenheit. This pot can even be used to store vaccines. It's extremely handy in areas where electricity is not as stable.
Okay, I love the tech. Please, everybody, don't store your vaccines in a bowl at only 40 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm not a scientist, but that's my only caveat to the video. Back to the video, though.
And in deserts where food can perish extremely fast. The systems sell for 40 cents a pair, and over 100,000 pots have been sold throughout Africa, and it's been named as one of the best inventions ever. This is Habar and Gemma. Follow me if you want to learn more about African politics and pop culture. This is a tool used in Africa that keeps food cold without using any electricity. It's a pot refrigeration system which was developed by Mohammed Ba'aba. The outer pot is filled with wet sand and the inner pot is...
Okay, so I think that in order to get it to hold temperature to Rosh, you'd just have to add more water, potentially. Which, I mean, could be difficult depending where you are in Africa at the cost of water. But, yeah, it's kind of like running, corrugated cardboard cooling. It's kind of like something like this, right? Oh my God, I don't want any. Fuck it. Okay. Environmental corrugated cardboard cool box. Says that they can do something for 90 hours? Oh, this was the one that I wanted to see. Yeah, okay, I remember this one. To capture the water and rehydrate the sand. If there's a lid, are you going to be able to evaporate to the same cooling amount that you were at, or are you going to be increasing humidity and temperature because there's nowhere for it to evapotranspirate to? I don't know. But this was a little of what I was thinking about.
You'll read no end of stories about water wars and how the world's running out of water. We're all doomed. Drought left, right and centre. Half the planet's on fire. But actually we're not short of water. It's just that most of it is too salty and it's in the wrong place. For the last 50 to 100 years, we've been using irrigation to increase the amount of food that's available. It might get you out of a problem for a year or 10, but it doesn't solve the problem of needing more water to grow more food for this growing population. The real problem that the seawater greenhouse is designed to address is enabling the world to grow more food. Unlike a conventional greenhouse, which you might think of as a hothouse, the seawater greenhouse is the opposite. It's a cool house, designed to cool, humidify, and create a climate suited to temperate type crops in hot, arid regions. Africa is the world's centre for water insecurity, which in turn makes it the world's centre for food insecurity, and there's absolutely no need for it at all.
Thank God I have you all as a community and there is cheap, innovative technology out there, because like I was stuck in a horrible climate doom loop in my brain for the past like, I don't know, like 48 hours. I was just fucking miserable, being like, oh man, we're never gonna get solutions to any of this shit. But like, they are out there. There are wonderfully innovative, cheap techniques.
This is a piece of evaporator. This is the main component of the seawater greenhouse. The wind blows through the evaporators, the humidity goes up and the temperature goes down. You can reduce the amount of water that crop needs, maybe tenfold, maybe even 100-fold, depending on what the conditions are like outside. You will hear people say that you can't use desalination to grow crops because the water has a higher value than the crop. But it depends how much water you need. If we're reducing the amount of water that it needs, then the cost of that water becomes a fairly trivial, insignificant component. Somaliland has a population of 4 million. You would need something like 10 square miles of this kind of structure to feed the country. The cost of that would be of the order of $400 million, which sounds like a lot of money, but actually it's only 1% of the annual aid budget that goes to sub-Saharan Africa. We're demonstrating that it is economically viable, practical, and not very difficult to use seawater to grow luscious temperate crops. It is exciting to be able to work on solutions to those kind of problems.
Yeah, I did see this come up recently. What is this? Just are these mirrors going to a concentrated molten salt reactor? Is that what this one is? Vertical farms of the future. Yeah, let's watch these two. Well, I think this one we can go through really fast, because I think that I mostly get the technology.
This might look...
Yeah, okay. That's all that it is. So you're basically, rather than having tons and tons of solar panels, you're having one concentrated, you're concentrating all the light to a single inflection point. I think they have some of these in the West Coast, but they don't work all that great. It's something, I don't remember. Well, they'll tell me.
Look like a death ray? But it's not. It's actually one enormous, very accurate magnifying glass. This magnifying glass has a technical name, a sunlight refinery. To use it, find somewhere really sunny, plop down a bunch of mirrors, bounce the sunlight into a single spot, and you can melt just about anything. Okay, so it is kind of death rayish. Why do this? Because manufacturing steel or cement requires a lot of heat, and making something super hot has historically meant burning dinosaurs.
You look at the massive carbon footprint that is associated with these industrial applications, and it can't be ignored.
20% of global carbon emissions, to be precise. And because this technology is so good, it might just change the entire energy industry and prevent World War III in the process. This is Hard Reset, a series about rebuilding our world from scratch. Just east of Six Flags and north of LA is a place called Lancaster, which is very flat, very hot, and a perfect place to test a takeover of the world's energy supply. Yeah, that sounded more Bond villainy than I thought it would. Anyway, these are called heliostats, and the reason this solar refinery works so well is that under these mirrors and shot glasses are pretty simple motors that they can control remotely. This allows the mirrors to change angles throughout the day depending on where the sun is. How do they know where the sun is? Interns. No, AI. Of course.
You need to take each of thousands of mirrors and point them very, very precisely, accurate to about a 10th or 20th of a degree.
That's Bill Gross, genius visionary and founder of over 150 companies. Also, super nice guy.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
At the top of the tower, high-resolution cameras monitor the position of the mirrors below.
You can actually see the two at the top are the easiest to pick out because they're on booms above the receiver.
So Heliogen gets all those mirrors to reflect sunlight into that big target at the top.
So what we've got just above us is the solar receiver. So you can see that's what we saw from ground level. That's where that concentrated sunlight is focused when the field is operating.
The cameras know if the mirrors are bouncing into the sun because those cameras are assessing the quality of the sky's blue. Let's break that down with Steve, with school tattoos.
This is my robot battle armor. What I have here is a jungle on an alien planet with robots tending the garden.
And is in charge of the technology stuff here.
What these cameras see is a reflection of the sky close to the sun. Close to the sun, the sky appears very bright from the scattered sunlight coming through it, and the further away from the sun you look, the darker or less bright that patch of sky appears to be.
So the cameras look at the color blue, and the AI uses that information to assess the distance from the sun, deduce the orientation of the mirror, and therefore where the beam is going.
So every few seconds, we get a measurement of where that beam is going, and we can command the heliostat to make small corrections to optimize its tracking. In this industry, that is a complete game changer. Because now we don't rely on the hardware to be so precise, we have software to make it precise, so it really changes everything about how that plant operates and allows us to reach higher performance levels at a much lower cost.
So software that controls accuracy, not hardware. And the more accurate those mirrors can be throughout the day, the fewer of them they actually need. More importantly, it allows Heliogen to do something that no other concentrated solar refinery has been able to do. Generate temperatures north of 1,000 degrees Celsius.
People have done mirror concentration before, but they've achieved 400 degrees, 500 degrees. We've achieved 1,500 degrees.
That was the one that I was thinking of. There's one in Nevada. I drove past it. You pass one when you go from, I wonder if we can find it. I've passed one of these before. Las Vegas to Los Angeles. It was on the right side of the road. I imagine I'm going to be able to see it because it's pretty freaking big. I think it was on the right side of the road. There it is. Maybe not. No, that's not it. But there is one out here somewhere. There it is. That's it. Wait, isn't this it? Yeah, I think that might be it. Maybe not. But I know that there's one out there somewhere. Solar electric generating system. Yeah, there. That's it. Ivanpah Solar Electric. Because I think that they were all trying to beam them into that central point. But there was something about like one of these that it wasn't working all that well. From my memory. It's cool though that you can just find it on on Google Earth. Oh man, I had such a great time in Barstow. There's a sorry, this is a big like derail. There's a really good outlet in Barstow, and they had a Vans outlet store, and I got some just awesome shirts for California. But then everything got stolen when I was in Vancouver, so that's what I get for buying clothing.
That heat is important because solar energy needs to be used immediately or stored somehow. Batteries are
I buy clothing at Goodwill stores now.
expensive and problematic, but you know what's cheap and safe? Just normal rocks.
Yellow Rock Collection. It's a mineral collection.
And we take that high temperature and we bring it down into a rock bed. We literally heat rocks to 1,000 degrees centigrade.
The temperatures are so high the metal actually can't take it. So we put the insulation on the inside to protect the steel from those high temperatures.
If you heat rocks to 1,000 degrees centigrade with the photons, they now stay hot even after the sun goes down. Those rocks are in an insulated tank, like a thermos, and they'll stay hot for a week.
Those rocks act as batteries, storing energy that can be used to generate power 24 hours a day.
It allows us to power things that need to run around the clock. And civilization does run around the clock.
But wait a minute, haven't we heard this all before? How solar energy is going to revolutionize the world? The difference here seems to be that everything at Heliogen is built around scale. This plant we went to is only a test facility, 400 heliostats. A proper sunlight refinery will be 40,000 heliostats.
So 100 times as much solar collector as what we have here.
To build refineries all over the world, they're betting on small.
Make all the mirrors small so they can be factory produced, and make them easy to roll out because we don't need cranes or heavy equipment to deploy them. Our vision was to make this like farming, so we could cover lots of ground very inexpensively, almost like a harvester or a tractor planting rows of seeds. That is critical because to power the Earth, we need to cover hundreds of square miles, which is actually not that much to power the whole planet.
Really?
But covering hundreds of square miles needs to be done cost effectively.
We essentially designed this to be highly automated, robotic tractors that can carve the trenches, place the heliostat foundations, pour the concrete, and then the drives and the mirrors are set on afterward in a very efficient way.
So the plan is that these refineries go in places that are flat, with lots of sun, like deserts. Then they take that concentrated sunlight, convert it to electricity, put that electricity through an electrolyzer, and split a water molecule to get hydrogen.
Green hydrogen can be put in pipelines and moved thousands of miles, or put on ships and moved across oceans. The powerful thing about that is we can then make the energy where the sun is good and move it to where the sun isn't. And that's what we need to do to power civilization. Beating the price of fossil fuels is the only thing that matters, because otherwise people will keep burning fossil fuels if they're cheaper. But if we can be even a fraction of a cent cheaper than fossil fuels, the world will adopt this at scale.
And so what happens if this is adopted at scale? Let's picture a scenario where the world is powered by the sun, mirrors, and rocks.
My dream, by the end of this decade, would be to have 1,000 towers in the southwest United States, 1,000 towers in Australia, and 1,000 towers in the Middle East and North Africa. That way we can make energy for almost all of the continents, because we can move the energy from where the sun is good in those deserts to where the people who need it live.
In total, it would take an area about the size of Alaska to produce enough energy to meet today's consumption rates. And with that, we could change the environment and geopolitics. How many wars have been fought? How many people have died, essentially for oil? And those geopolitics are, in a way, the inspiration for this whole endeavor.
I do have one story about how I lived through the energy crisis when I was a kid. It was 1973 during the Arab oil embargo. There was a shortage of gasoline, so there were long lines of cars waiting at the gas stations on Ventura Boulevard just to get your $5 of gasoline. My mother would wait in that line with me in the backseat of the car, and I was thinking, as we waited an hour to get our gasoline, thinking about why is it that there's somewhere else in the world that could choose to shut off our supply, and now people are suffering. Why don't we have another way of getting our energy that's more local?
We have regular conversations about climate refugees and about the wars that are fought over fossil fuels. We're
Okay, I don't care about their geopolitical analysis. You've got cool technology. I like the technology. I don't need you to tell me that you're going to end wars, because you're not. But I fucking like what you're doing. And so does 9.8 thousand other people. This has been viewed a lot. I might have to look through more of this channel. The biohackers making insulin 98% cheaper. Yeah, I'm gonna go through some of these. Okay, let me catch up on chat. Marcus, I'm happy that you're still lurking out there. Thank you. It means a lot when other streamers sit in your channels. Oh wow, okay. Yeah, see, I think this is the facility that I drove past. But yeah, they didn't I don't even think they were I don't think they had automated panels. I don't think that they had a good way to deploy them. So, yeah. Now, alright, I gotta run through my mind here. What are the drawbacks of doing something like this? What are gonna be drawbacks? What are drawbacks? They're not using a lot of rare earths. They're using stones. They're doing electrolysis to separate the hydrogen from H2O, liquefying the hydrogen, pipelining it around. So maybe you could even use could you use the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and could you use current existing pipelines in the Middle East to then ship liquid hydrogen through? It's in the desert, so mirror maintenance. This thing takes salt water? No, it doesn't. I don't think it just takes a bit of molten... well, actually, no, I guess that one wasn't even using molten salt. It was just converting it right into the stones. I'll have to watch the video again. Do current pipelines move hydrogen? To my knowledge, no. I'm not, the shitty thing is I'm not a technical expert in anything. I'm a wonderful jack of all trades, but I don't really know physics anymore. I don't really know chemistry anymore. That's why it's cool that there's viewers in the channel. You know, you all can pick up the expertise areas that I don't have. So it's in the desert, so mirror maintenance might be a thing, getting scratched up. Okay, so yeah, you're talking about like if you have a big sandstorm, is the sandstorm going to destroy your efficiency of your panels? Yeah, that sounds to be a bad problem. Well, he said that they can hold the temperature for days, if not weeks, and this makes sense to me because if you think about a rocket stove, so if you're thinking about the purpose of a rocket stove with stone, come on, show me a better example of what I want to find. It's just not showing what I wanted to. I'm going to send a tweet just so we can have an image of something that I'm looking for. Thank you for bearing with me. Oh God, you're completely right. Biohazard. All right, so. Okay, so this is a rocket stove in Cleveland, Ohio, inside of a greenhouse. So you heat right here. You run your first pipe out through here, and it goes underneath this stone and underneath this cob, and then the pipe comes back around up here, and then the air goes up and out. So the purpose of doing it into the stones is stones can hold heat a lot longer than air can. And he also said that they were able to store some of those temperatures for up to like a week or two, he was even saying. So I would have to figure out like where they're storing that and what kind of chamber they would be storing it in. I guess like what down underground. They said they weren't storing them in steel because the temperatures were hot enough to melt the steel. So they must have an underground cavern dug that's pumping all the heat down into there. And then in that underground cavern, it doesn't really have anywhere to escape to. Hello, preachings. Isn't the sand to make glass a thing that's running low? To my knowledge, no. But you're pretty much going to need glass on even a solar panel. Well, I mean, they're making transparent solar panels now. So.
But they've achieved 400 degrees, 500 degrees. We've achieved 1500 degrees.
That heat is important because solar energy needs to be used immediately or stored somehow. Batteries are expensive and problematic, but you know what's cheap and safe? Just normal rocks.
Yellow rock collection. It's a mineral collection.
And we take that high temperature and we bring it down into a rock bed. We literally heat rocks to 1,000 degrees centigrade.
The temperatures are so high, the metal actually can't take it. So we put the insulation on the inside to protect the steel from those high temperatures.
If you heat rocks to 1,000 degrees centigrade with the photons, they now stay hot even after the sun goes down. Those rocks are in an insulated tank, like a thermos, and they'll stay hot for a week.
Those rocks act as batteries, storing energy that can be used to generate power 24 hours a day.
It allows us to power things that need to run around the clock. And civilization does run around the clock.
But wait a minute.
I guess I'm just trying to, I don't know who you are. You have a very old account, but a very inappropriate account, so I'm, if anybody in my channel wants to type that into YouTube and show, I mean, I trust you that it's probably something decent, I just don't know you. Sand is running low as it's used to make concrete. But yeah, overall, I like that. I like what they're doing there. What was the company's name? No politics, no gossip, no cynics. It's the news reimagined. Free think media, interesting. Heliogenics, is that what they were called? This is all public information. You all know you can find me anywhere you want to. I doxed myself on day 1 of streaming, so I appreciate the concern. Can't type though. Oh no, you can post links. Yeah, but so the only thing about like me being doxxed is like you all could find you all could find my family. That's the irritating thing. Like I don't give a shit if you all find me and rock up on the door. Good luck. Um, but yeah, being able to like easily find my family who doesn't really agree with me politically, that's kind of the shitty thing. Using ceramics to store energy. Okay, solid state batteries, flow batteries, flywheels, compressed air storage, thermal, pumped hydro. So ceramics you can only store up to 700 centigrade. So it wouldn't work for the heliogen technology. I'm not saying that it can't be used. All that I'm really saying is that it's not high enough for what they were producing. What temp for heliogen? They said that they were getting over 1,000 centigrade. Or they might have even said 1,100. Rock is the superior technology. True? These are why like I don't stay doomer in perpetuity. Because there are little tricks here and little tricks there. But we just gotta we gotta get the public behind them. We just gotta get the public behind some of this stuff. Agroecologist Nicole Masters discusses vermicompost. I've been meaning to get down into this podcast. Advancing Eco Agriculture podcast. Principles of regenerative agriculture, soil fertility, and the phenomena of plant development. The regenerative soil primer. I was listening to this one a little bit. No-till market gardening, regenerative broadacre crop farming with bio. Oh man, look at all this stuff that we have to listen to. I mean, I'm mostly of the type where if there's no other alternatives left, yeah, let's crank up the nuclear. There's a new company right now though. Company builds small nuclear reactors using spent fuel. I just saw this a couple days ago. I should have clicked it. This one. I don't know anything about this. This is very new. Oh yeah, Your Environment Seattle is a big nuclear advocate. Okay, so Oklo has a plan to make tiny nuclear reactors that run off nuclear waste. They aim to build fast reactors that could use spent fuel. The plants are still several years off, and experts are skeptical, which include operating the plants without human guards or operators on the site. The first Oklo reactor is going to have a capacity of 1.5 megawatts, making it a true microreactor. Not perfect. There's definitely some issues with it. But I'm in the point of my life where I'll kind of throw anything against a wall and see if it sticks. We used to be a country that heavily funded the sciences and heavily funded research, and then we just said, "Nah, fuck that. We're gonna let the we're gonna let the private sector do all of our science for us," and then the United States crashed. Okay, I want to. Rolls Royce are going down the small reactor route. Wow. Okay, I want to watch the Vertical Farms of the Future video. First, before we do move, does anybody have any thoughts on storing energy in stones via the mirrors or so forth? Actually, let's go back through. Let's go back through what would and wouldn't work with those big mirror panels. Okay, so you're destroying a square mile worth of habitat, which is going to adversely impact the animals and flora in that region. But you're not using too ridiculous of materials. You're using stones. Yeah, I was already thinking about that, Biohaz. I was thinking about that. It would just negate their ability to build them as quickly as they're building them. And it would require a much more carbon intense investment. I'm not saying that it's not possible. But it would require a lot more infrastructure build out. Oh, here's the sand thing. Sand shortage. Okay, so for construction alone, the world consumes 40 to 50 billion tons of sand. It's enough to build a wall of 27 meters high by 27 meters wide that wraps around the planet every year. But kind of what I was trying to think of is, if we're going to be switching from using sand into just building these mirrors, I have to think that we can find enough sand to build well, it would be mirrors the size of Alaska, right? What's the square mileage of Alaska? $663,000 square miles. Amount of sand per square foot of mirror. Mostly I'm trying to think that we should be okay to divert sand from concrete to energy. Wait, the dunes they would be building over have a role in producing the type of grain necessary? Wait, what? Can you expand on the grain part? Oh, okay, to get the grains of sand. Yeah, but you could just, I'm having a hard time thinking that, oh, okay, wait. Sorry. Now I got the idea that I wanted to get out. Okay. The sand shortage is a distribution problem in my mind, and I could be 100% wrong here, but kind of here's my thinking. There's a fuck ton of sand in Africa, in the Middle East. However, to ship that sand across an ocean is ridiculously expensive because of weight and density. However, if you're locally producing your mirrors, let's say that like you're building all your GD mirrors in between, I'm just using these three countries because they're right there, Egypt and Israel and Saudi Arabia. So if you're building your mirror manufacturing there, I would think you would have ease of access to sand in addition to ease of access to the Suez Canal, meaning that you could ship your mirrors all through Africa, Europe, and the Indo-Pacific. So yeah, I have to think that that wouldn't be the biggest inhibitor. Yeah, I don't mind doing that though. That really doesn't bother me at all. Because you're not going to need that many of them. Yeah, I'm okay with spending carbon now to save carbon in the future. That's never been something that bothered me. You just have to run cost-benefit analysis to see if you're using more fossil fuels than you're getting back out. But just running simple math through my mind here, if you're able to give power to that region of the world for, I mean, not the most complex of technologies. Fuck, we could build one of those in our backyard, pretty much everybody. I mean, okay, we're going to have a Twitch meetup, and everybody bring a mirror, and then we're just going to put, like, we're going to do, okay, we'll make our own Burning Man. We're going to have our own Burning Man, and instead of using any fire, we're just going to let the Wicker Man burn with our mirrors at it. Sorry that I have like such a shitty thing on the background for you to look at. I wonder where most mirrors get produced. Yeah, that's absolutely for sure, Kosal. I'm not denying maintenance on these mirrors because like I've been in dust storms in Israel before, and it hurts. Like the dust scratches. It's really, that is going to be a huge problem that I cannot deny at all. But yeah, overall, I'm liking it so far. Okay, anything else before shifting to vertical farms? Yeah, but I think that you're overestimating the amount of sand that's going to be needed to build mirrors to cover Alaska. I mean, okay, potentially maybe I'm underestimating it, but I don't think that this is like a, well, it's less precious than carbon, and it's less precious than lithium, and it's less precious than nickel, and it's less precious than gold. If it were more precious, it would be more expensive than these materials. Is kind of where I'm thinking at the moment. Yeah, again, I gotta do more research. But yeah, I'm still just not thinking it's a problem. I saw that 85% of all mining, yeah. Apparently only beach sand with high silica to make glass. Interesting. Well, alright everybody. You thought that you didn't like Bloomberg telling you that you can't drink your sodas. I am gonna disallow mirrors in residential homes. Actually, no. Okay, we'll start commercial businesses first. No more mirrors in commercial businesses. Boom. All right, problem solved. So, all right, you vain motherfuckers. No more goddamn mirrors in commercial buildings. Yeah, true. Yep, we're fighting Big Mirror now. Before it was meadows, not lawns. Now we're going up against Big Mirror and Big Sand and Big Oil. But okay, like I'm gonna go down like this rabbit hole a little bit. I am so fucking tired of how obsessed our society is with aesthetics. I mean, myself included. You know, like, we all care about how we look and are we stylish, and it is absolutely exhausting. I feel like we spend so much time just trying to look cool. Hey, I'm not denying that I don't have, you know, my own issues. At least my style is mostly modest, or a quote like, you know, I try to just be clean and professional. Oh, wait, you're you have an 11-minute-old account. All right, see you later. Also, I'll very happily tell you this shirt cost me $3 from the Goodwill store, and these shorts were about $3 or $4 from a Goodwill store. I spent more money on clothing this year than I did in about the previous 3 years, and I spent $133 on clothing this year, and I've driven more in the past 3 weeks than I've driven in about 8 years. I've driven around like 2,000 miles on this trip, and I didn't drive 2,000 miles in 8 years. So I'm using all my carbon this year. Next year will be a no carbon year, maybe again. I'm going to read through this a lot more. Thank you, Monty. Okay, I do want to see a little bit about the vertical farms of the future. Oh no, I don't think that way, Kosa. No, it makes me double down on it's the other people that have problems. Yeah, no, you gotta come to the dark side with me. I share that position not at all.
This is the first farm on Mars. Okay, technically it's not on Mars. It's Wyoming. So, close enough. Anyway, it could be on Mars, because this is one of the world's most advanced indoor farms, and it could be the future of farming right here on Earth. With vertical farming, you can start with a building roughly the size of a Costco, grow your crops up and down instead of around you on the floor, ditch the pesticides, recycle the water, and you can grow pretty much anywhere, anytime. Why do this? Well, look at this. It's all of the farmland in the world. All of that used to be nature.
It is probably one of the most defining acts of humanity. We literally changed the ecosystem of the entire planet in order to meet our dietary needs. Plants today produce roughly what they produced 10, 20 years ago. We've just managed to pack more of them into a field, and there's a limit to that type of yield gain. Our job is to build farms that unlock nutrition for everyone on a scale that no one's ever seen, and the only way we can do that now is by growing indoors.
Indoors? Don't you need sunlight and rain to grow the world's food? Maybe not. This is Hard Reset, a series about rebuilding our world from scratch.
So pods are where we do almost all of our environmental research. This is where we understand, what drives flavor, what drives appearance, what drives yield in all of the different crops that we grow.
Why would we want to farm vertically? Well, there's a reason that libraries don't spread their books all over the floor. They stack them up on shelves so that they can stack a lot of books in a small footprint. Vertical farms do the same thing for agriculture. And while vertical farms are not new, companies like Plenty are leading the charge at making them mainstream.
Okay, this is Nate's story, Plenty.
So going vertical allows us to put a lot more product in a single spot. It allows us to circulate air easier, administer light easier. It allows us to have massive growing planes.
We can condense about 700 acres of farmland into the size of a big box retail store. And we harvest 365 days a year. We are able to condense the growth cycle to about 10 days for a lot of our products, which is about a 700% increase in yield. We are doing that all while saving about 1 million gallons of water per week and using about 1% of the land compared to traditional farming.
In an indoor farm, we put water in the roots. When they take the water up, they transpire that water, and then that water gets sucked into our air handling units. We condense it all and put it right back in the system. So 99% of the water that's transpired in the field and lost is captured and recirculated in our farms. We have, strawberries in another space. We've got an upstairs space devoted to tomatoes. Overall, we've got over 50 different, discrete spaces that we use to do these tests.
Historically, vertical farming has been too expensive and too inefficient to make it a better option than traditional farming. But that's all changing now as these technologies drop in price.
Humanity is on that cost curve right now. We just don't realize it. Right? We're riding this cost curve down to a future where almost anything is possible in an extremely controlled environment.
That's not to say one of these vertical farms is cheap. A new facility can cost $100 million to install, but the cost of each component is plummeting as industries like solar and robotics are flourishing. But the surprising technology that's helped make this possible is LEDs, what vertical farms use to replicate the sun. Let's break that down.
Our system is just a system of energy transfers, and our ability to manage the efficiency of those energy transfers in some way or another is what makes us economical or non-economical as a business. It sounds crazy, but like most everything in the world, right? Like we can only save our species if it makes economic sense. Life and death. Let's make sure that.
The tech is cheap enough now to do them. I've laid out the plan for municipalities to build these right now. Okay, step 1. Federal government buys all the technology from App Harvest and whoever this fucking guy's company is. Step 2, open source all that technology. Step 3, municipalities do a bond issuance and a bond sale because there's nowhere in the world that's getting any yield at the moment right now. So you can have municipalities do like a couple $100 million worth of bond sales at a 2% yield. And they're going to get bought up like, I don't know, anything that you couldn't even imagine. Build them and then get it back. So, but I mean, yeah, it would be beautiful for municipalities to get into this.
We can afford it, right?
Right. Nate gets it. Basically, an LED's efficiency comes down to how little loss there is between the grid's electricity and the amount of light it puts out. Then how much light is actually absorbed and used by the plant.
We think about LEDs as like the point of major energy loss in the system. We're taking electrons and converting them into photons.
And thanks to all your TV and cell phone and light bulb buying, LED technology has gotten really, really efficient. And Plenty is getting really good at putting out the kind of light that actually results in plant growth and plant flavor.
LEDs have just been going down in price and up in efficiency. And our understanding of what makes a good photon versus a bad photon at the plant level has been going up as we've been researching and working. We're really kind of transitioning into a world where humans and machines are partnering together in better and better ways to make farming awesome.
Plenty is not vaporware. It's already on the market. Their first farm in the San Francisco Bay Area has produce available at local stores today. It's premium price, but it's not unaffordable. Plenty is banking on their produce being better and more flavorful than produce from traditional farms.
What we can do with nutrients and lights is we can change the flavor profile of our plants. So things like a blue light can make a more crispy crunch on a plant, or kale. The kale is like nothing like a kale you would think of. It's like soft, it's kind of sweet, it's crunchy. So I make a pesto out of it that I really love.
I sampled Plenty's products and they're not wrong. The baby arugula, baby kale, and Mizuna mixes all have a ton of flavor. And that kale pesto that Shireen mentioned, so good. And because farms like Plenty use a tremendous amount of automation, these plants have actually never even been touched by human hands.
When you grow things outside, the elements are much more unpredictable. If you grow indoors, you can control a lot of those factors in ways that aren't accessible to outdoor growers, and the result is that our produce can be, hundreds of times cleaner.
Plenty doesn't need to use pesticides because there are no bugs. Its produce doesn't have bird poop on it because why would you put birds inside a warehouse?
It results in a product that's so clean, you don't need to wash it. And that's a huge step forward for human health and safety.
Hey there, this is Chicago Talk.
That part right there is a huge time saver. If you're not having to wash your veg, you are saving so much energy and water. It's not hard to reverse engineer it. We just need $100 million to do it. Biohaz.
Fast or unhealthy food dominates people's diets, but that's partially because alternative produce for most is kind of gross.
Well, I don't think that it's a large land process. I mean, if you're only taking a couple hundred, the size of Alaska to power most of the planet isn't even that big of a space, but I'll have to think on that one a little bit more.
Could be the best tasting lettuce and tomato hamburger ever.
So globally, we eat about 1/3 of the fresh fruits and vegetables that we should be consuming. That's a huge problem. That's why we see the rise of heart disease and diabetes and all these different things in places where people used to just struggle to get enough calories, right? And what we've done in the last really 50 years is we figured out how to trick our bodies into wanting to eat the wrong things. Humanity is trapped in our addiction to those calories. And we don't have the land or the resources or the ability to compensate with high nutrition food.
Most produce has been packed up and shipped off to another country or transported across state lines via trucks and trains. That's not great for the environment, and it also sucks for the flavor of your produce.
Many products like tomatoes are designed for durability, so they gotta be shipped across the country in these massive trucks, and not for flavor. So our products can last longer on shelves because they're not spending 3 or 4 days on a truck.
We're able to concentrate on quality over the ability to ship. And so this is, in a lot of ways, the democratization of flavor.
Right now, we are really focused on building our facility in Compton. We're in the middle of construction and hoping to open that facility in the next year or so. Compton is a food desert, so we're bringing jobs to communities that really are looking for investment in people. These aren't seasonal jobs, they're full-time jobs, 365 days a year at living wages. Being able to grow in communities anywhere means that we will be able to offer that produce to places that traditionally haven't had access. That's what we can do, is we can create local farms everywhere.
With their San Francisco and Compton facilities, Plenty will only be growing leafy greens and shorter plants. Tall crops like wheat or corn don't.
Yeah, the proprietary stuff that they're going to have is going to be like the robotics, the rotation, what wavelength of light, how much water, designs on the piping, designs on the water system. So they do have, there is a lot of planning and science that goes into it, but it can be reverse engineered. But they've definitely spent their time on those parts.
Make much sense to farm vertically, but that may all change in the decades to come. So picture a scenario where we got rid of all the traditional farms and replaced them with just vertical farms. Fresh produce could be grown in arid places like Cairo and Phoenix, or frigid places like Helsinki and Calgary. Every place in the world would be able to grow the same crops grown in California and Tuscany. How would that change diets and cuisines and our impact on the environment? The businesses and lives of people associated with traditional farming would be severely disrupted. Farming communities would lose their identities, but does that outweigh the potential benefits?
That hard reset is one where the vast majority of our food is grown indoors. It's grown in a completely protected environment under artificial light. Given exactly the nutrients it needs, it's hyper-productive, it's in the cities or in the regions where the people live, and humanity is fully untethered from the environment in terms of how our population grows. We can go anywhere and grow these crops in almost any conditions now. We can expand this human consciousness of flavor in ways that were never possible when we were, seasonally locked into production cycles.
This is the kind of technology and efficiency we'll need with the Artemis base on the moon, and eventually on Mars. But it's also kind of what we need here on Earth.
Goddamn, why does everybody say moon, Mars? Yo, I'm fucking hungry right now. Where's my fresh food right now? Come on. I haven't eaten in it's actually about 6 hours now. Fucking Mars and the moon. This is a good time as any. If anybody does like the channel, the best ways to support the channel are follow me on Twitter and YouTube. If you want to go above and beyond, I got away from Amazon and Twitch a very, very long time ago, in wanting to have kind of a bit better of a revenue model. However, and sorry you all have to deal with the fact that I'm in a loud place, and you also have to deal with the fact that I like blockchain a little bit. PayPal is raising their fees from 2.49% to 3.49%, and from 29 cents per transaction to 49 cents per transaction. Venmo is bumping their fees up. Stripe may soon follow. Western Union has soon followed. So Twitch charges you a 28 or a 40% premium to donate bits to streamers. They charge you a 50% premium to subscribe to streamers. All of these, you've got all of these middlemen inside of the banking world that are just taking a couple percent here, taking a couple percent there. I have the hope that someday in the future there will be a decentralized payment rail system that doesn't take exorbitant fees as such, where the fees can't just be changed without a 51% consensus vote on the protocol, where PayPal can't just say, no, we're not going to allow touring to monetize on our network anymore. So I've got issues with payment centralization, SWIFT payment systems, Western Union, PayPal, Stripe, Alibaba, all of those things. PayPal is still the best. Yeah, PayPal at the moment is still the best. Well, okay, technically Venmo and Cash App are the best. I think you can still do Cash App for free without any kind of fee. I think that if you send somebody money on Cash App and they don't do the 1 day pay, yeah, we do. I'll build a reference chart. But I think on Cash App, if you don't do same day pay, I think you can still do free money transfers. Okay, yeah, same for Venmo. The issue with those is I think that a lot of information gets shared between. Oh, Cash App is still free? Okay, nice. I think I have Cash App. I know I have Venmo. I'll have to update these things. But yeah, it's just like, it drives me, gosh, they take so much money from content creators. Substack takes 20%, Patreon takes about 15%, OnlyFans takes 20%, Twitch takes 28 to 50%. So, just so you all know. Yeah, well, but so my question, Monty, was can you buy USDC or USDT without any fee? If you've got my cash tag handy, you're ready. Do I even have Cash App? I do have Cash App. How do I find out who I am? Wait, is this me? I think that's me. Yeah, I think I'm hashtag or $ touring news. Yeah, well, and that's another big problem, Alatia Tanara. It's there's not a lot of jobs at those places. Like I think they'll be able to maintain a high wage, but they're only going to have like 14 people working. Yeah, but I didn't know. I thought that you could transfer between USDT, USDC, and USD without any on-ramp, off-ramp, or without any gouge. But I could be wrong. Oh, damn. You were serious about the Cash App thing. Whoa. Well, thank you very much. Just got a $25 donation on Cash App. I'm actually making money today. I think we're about break even on the trip. Thank you for a huge donation. Yeah, I think we're about breaking even on the trip. I got the gas mileage up to 17.75 miles per gallon on the Jimmy. I was driving 61 in a 70. I was driving 56 in a 60, trying to get as close to that optimal fuel point as possible. So we're going to test and see how the next fill up on the car does. Yeah, well, cheapest and fastest being Ripple. I'll have to look into the USDT thing. I wonder how long the jobs remain a living wage once the adoption of tech becomes widespread. I don't know. But I don't know if coin. Let me check and see on my other screen here.
A chip in for gas.
Oh, thank you, Zeke. Oh, damn. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you very, very much. Buy 50. Oh, no. Oh, no, you're right, Monty. Yep, Monty, you're right. They charge in and out on Tether even. So yeah, the cheapest way then would be you'd have to pay 1% because I could pay like a 0.5% fee to get into Ripple on Coinbase Pro and then send it. But yeah, so at least they're working on it. Some people are working on better payment rails. Okay, let's maybe watch one more video, and then I'm gonna go eat. Thank you very much, Zeke. Sustainable city grids. Stripe founder Patrick Collison is changing how we fund science. I kind of want to hear that. Reclaiming city spaces with tactical urbanism. Can a bank run on love? Okay, interesting. Oh gosh, every little bit goes a long way. I think this community has become decent at stretching $1. I'm at maybe, I think I've made about like, I've made under $25,000 in 2.5 years on Twitch. So somewhere between like 23 and 25,000, I think, is what we've made in 2.5 years on the channel, and I think that we've done a lot of great shit with it. So I'm happy with how we can stretch $1.
The American cities of today are fragile and fragmented.
For decades now, when America has built new places, they've tended to look like this. But nowadays, we know that sprawl is bad for the environment, traffic, business, and our physical and mental health.
In fact, the U.S. Surgeon General put a warning label on non-walkable neighborhoods like a pack of cigarettes.
Matt Lewis of Simple City Design thinks there's a better way. Simple City is leveraging some of the oldest, simplest design principles around to build new, beautiful neighborhoods.
Our goal is to only work on places that people want to hang out, places that are worth caring about, places that are affordable. Well, how do we resolve for all of these issues? I've got so many goals that we're trying to accomplish, but I'm going to say we've cracked the code.
What do a huge metropolis like Manhattan and this small town have in common? Their downtowns are laid out like a grid. The grid is walkable, easy to navigate, and attracts a diversity of tenants. For hundreds of years, it was the default way American cities got built.
Post-World War II, we discovered a new model.
The American push to build suburbs was fueled by a lot of overlapping considerations. Cheap cars and gas, honest-to-goodness optimism about the future, segregationist building codes, and white flight. It's complicated. Fast forward to today, and suburbs are deeply entrenched in American life. Unfortunately, we also have a lot of evidence that they don't work as well for humans as gridded development does. Curvy streets are less navigable and walkable than the grid, meaning more traffic and more pedestrian fatalities. And while the downtowns of cities usually have no problem attracting commercial tenants, when huge retail stores and strip malls in the suburbs close down, it's hard to get new businesses to move in. But America is still building suburbs. In fact, in most places in the US, building low-density sprawl is more or less legally required.
The development codes govern what you see going vertical in your communities. But the metrics on the books and conventional codes are not looking at the long-term interest of how the community fits together.
So Matt decided to rewrite the codes from the ground up.
Bastrop's located about 23 miles southeast of Austin, Texas, and it was always ready to grow. We knew it was coming. Austin's already went every direction, but east.
They did not want to build subdivisions. They wanted to build neighborhoods.
But because of the decades-old code they had on the books, without an intervention, Bastrop would have ended up with more suburbs. So Bastrop hired Matt and his team at Simple City to rewrite the code.
The keys for the future are housed in downtown. Bastrop has 330-foot short walkable blocks. The grid created a sense of community. Every morning, the same shopkeepers come out, clean off the sidewalks, and greet their neighbors. This building is illegal under their old development standards, and you can see that it's a human-scale building. It's comfortable, it's lovely.
The new code Matt's team came up with is called the B3 code. At its core, it's based on duplicating Bastrop's thriving, fiscally productive, gridded downtown. By stripping away the baggage of suburban development codes, like minimum parking requirements, Bastrop is one of the first cities in America to explicitly code for gridded development, and the results are promising.
As you connect streets, you build your water lines, and you don't have dead-end lines. There's a clear tax rate that maintains the streets, that maintains the sidewalks, that maintains all that stuff. If there's a traffic jam, you can just move over and go up one block.
The new Bastrop building block code promotes for house floor and commercial. Every lot is allowed to have 2 accessory dwelling units, and there are no minimum lot dimensions. It's a low startup cost for entrepreneurs, and as you gain wealth, then you can expand your footprint. It is that simple.
Everybody has their own memory of going to visit a small town or when they grew up in a small town. Bastrop won't be a small town forever, but we're going to save the small town feel.
We often say cities don't get do-overs. Once your infrastructure...
I'm not smart enough for that video. I'm going to have to send it over to Amy C3 because I don't know enough about that one. Oh, you're actually pretty close to the town of Bastrop. Wow, that's really amazing. Okay, my stomach is growling to the point that my brain isn't really functioning where I need it to be a streamer. So, thank everybody for making it a great day today. Thank everybody for making it a learning day today. I'll probably be back in the afternoon to do a little bit more learning stream, exploring more technologies and so forth. And then tonight, maybe some Sea of Thieves or so forth. Whoa. Wait, Dan Simpson is interviewing Griscom and Matt Leck? Damn, good for you, Dan. Congratulations. Thank you, Montreal Player, for the 30. Thank you, Butternut Squash, for the 10. Thank you, Zeke, for the 5. And thank you for the 25 on Cash App as well. I actually watched this video talking about food insecurity. This guy just wrote a new book. The guy on the left is Richard Wolff. I forget the one on the right's name. Warp Lady is talking about unions, food, and housing. So I figure what better place than to go continue the conversation that we were having. I will see you all in a few hours when I go grab some food. Thanks for pulling me out of the climate doom loop.